You are now listening to Lady Denim. Kick back and enjoy the ride. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Lady Denim. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about Uncle Iroh. Iroh is one of my biggest inspirations and fictional role models whom I adore very much and held close to my heart since I was a child. Others may think it's silly, but when you grow up not having proper guidance, you somehow manage to learn and navigate life with what's around you. Although I didn't watch an inordinate amount of TV like most kids, I did, however, watch a few shows when I wasn't reading. One of those shows happened to be the Avatar, The Last Airbender. In the series, Iroh was presented as Zuko's uncle. Iroh was a retired Fire Nation general, a former crown prince of the nation, a Grand Lotus of the Order of the White Lotus, a firebending master, and Zuko's wise mentor. He was the eldest son of Fire Lord Azulon and Ayla, and the older brother of Ozai. Iroh's well-known ability to breathe fire and his claims of slaying the last dragon, which he lied about to protect the last two dragons from being hunted, earned him the honorary title, the Dragon of the West. He was a wise, easygoing, and spiritual man. He had a deep appreciation and admiration for the balance of the four elements, which are earth, water, air, and fire, even incorporating aspects of each of the others into his own firebending techniques. One technique that was shown in the series was the lightning redirection technique, imitating waterbenders and how they deal with the flow of energy. After the traumatic death of his son Luten, Iroh saw Zuko as his own son rather than his nephew and encouraged him to choose his own destiny rather than a fate members of the royal family expected of him. He was the perfect mentor for Zuko, being he himself had an internal struggle between good and evil. Iroh was a renowned Fire Nation general during the 100-Year War. He enjoyed serving as the military commander and fully embraced his role as heir to the Fire Lord, later musing that his blood boiled with desire for power at the time. His views at the time partially stemmed from a desire to honor his father Azulon and grandfather Sozin, both of which had fully committed themselves to the war. Acting on a vision he had witnessed in his youth, which told him he would capture the impenetrable city of Ba Sing Se, Iroh besieged the great city for 600 days, and successfully breached the outer wall, a feat that had never been equaled before. However, before he could breach the inner wall, his son Luten was killed on the front lines, and in his grief, Iroh lost most of his fighting spirit and abandoned the siege. The siege of Ba Sing Se came to be seen as a terrible dishonor and failure for Iroh. But this tragedy opened his eyes and made him realize that his destiny was not to obtain power, but to bring peace. As Iroh was returning home, his father, Fire Lord Azulon, died under mysterious circumstances. Although Iroh was the crown prince, his younger brother, Ozai, who he was at odds with, was named Fire Lord, ostensibly at the dying request of Azulon himself. Suffering from the loss of his son Luten, Iroh's desire for power dwindled away, and he did not fight for his right to the throne. Ozai took power without incident. Distraught by the death of his son and father, Iroh thought it was necessary that he temporarily retract from his usual work as general to recuperate. During this time, he journeyed throughout the world, which included a spiritual adventure. It was rumored he traveled to the spirit world to find his son, Luten. Despite never finding his son, Iroh's travels greatly enhanced his understanding of the world and of himself. These experiences had a profound impact on Iroh, as he eventually changed his own destiny and perspective on the world and his life. As time went on, Iroh increasingly believed that his fall from power had been a gift and that not becoming the Fire Lord was exactly what he needed. He also began to reject the legacies of Azulon and Sozin, instead striving to change the course of the Fire Nation royal family away from the quest for absolute power. Although Iroh mostly retired from politics and the military, he was still well respected in the Fire Nation and well liked by soldiers because of his exuberant yet serene-like personality. When Zuko was banished by his father and told to find the Avatar to restore his honor, Iroh stood by Zuko's side for 3 years in search of the missing Avatar. Eventually, Aang, the Last Airbender, and Avatar emerged from ice. And throughout the series, Uncle Iroh was beside Zuko, always mentoring him and trying to guide him on the right path. If you wish to read more about Iroh, I will leave a link in the description. Uncle Iroh has inspired me to be a better person, to be calm and to think, and to understand others as well as understand what my destiny is, and how I have the power to change my fate. You don't owe anyone anything. You owe yourself to learn from past mistakes and grow. Your past does not define who you are. I didn't have a great childhood, and I certainly didn't have many sensational role models around me, but I consider Uncle Iroh to be one of them, despite being a fictional character. I strive to be the person I needed as a kid, because there are enough people who only want to sulk in their misery and pass on that unresolved pain down to others. I draw wisdom from many different places as I have a deep thirst for knowledge. Remember that you are not bound to only one destiny. You can change your path if you desire to. There is one quote I love from Iroh, and it goes, "Destiny is a funny thing. You never know how things are going to work out, but if you keep an open mind and an open heart, I promise you will find your own destiny someday." Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Insta at @adenum. You can also follow me on Facebook under the name Naya Celeste. Until next time, darling.